your source for Georgia politics. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution's trusted veteran political voices. Politically Georgia podcast is now 5 days a week. Listen weekdays at 10 a.m. on WABE 90.1. Stream at ajc.com/podcasts.
How long was Neil Armstrong actually on the moon? When did Europe start speaking English? Did Marco Polo really go to China? CuriosityStream is the streaming service for all things history, plus science, wildlife, and more. What's the real story behind the Mona Lisa? We've got that. What caused the collapse of Rome? We know. Where did we find mankind's earliest ancestor? Come find out. For the holidays, give the gift of curiosity with 25% off gift cards for your curious cohorts. It's holiday shopping season at curiositystream.com/gift.
Biggly Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street has served 3 generations of shoppers since 1955 as the largest locally owned independent grocery store in the area. The Joseph family owners grew up here, so you know they're invested in the community. They provide the biggest variety of choice meats, the freshest produce, an in-house deli bakery, great wine selection, and more of your favorite brands. Every purchase gives you gasoline points so you can save at our pumps. Order online for pickup at BigglyPigglyWiggly.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street. No one beats the pig.
The opinions expressed on Scoop Squad Truth Pod are those of the hosts and the guests and not those of WVRC Media. The Scoop Squad Truth Pod is copyright 2023 Scoop Squad Truth Squad LLC.
You're listening to the Scoop Squad Truth Pod, and I am your host, Ashley Switzer, and I'm here with my co-host, Ron Hughes. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ashley, how are you?
I'm well.
I'm probably a little hot and not looking. I mean, the sound, I see red.
I did say you looked really good in black. Did that go to your head?
It did, but it also went to my microphone.
Yeah, it's kind of loud.
We call it when you were over-modulating or
coming in hot.
Too loud, you're too hot.
Yeah, you came in.
That's going to be my new line.
This is a little better.
Hey, buddy, you're over-modulating.
Wow.
In 45
Beth
years
is becoming
of
very much more comfortable on the mic.
On 45 years of broadcasting, why did I never think to use that as a pickup line?
Woo. You never know what you're going to get here on the Scoop Squad Truth Pod here in Charleston, West Virginia, where we dig up information to give to you guys county politics, city politics, statewide politics.
Sometimes you don't have to dig very deep.
No, you don't. No. But the thing
you
is,
just have to scrape
you're scraping the surface, and then you find something, and then you can go deep, right? Like if you're scratching the surface, then you know you got to go deeper.
Did we say we have Adam Knopf in addition to Beth Cruz?
I did not yet. Hey, Adam.
Oh. Hey, thanks for having me. I think I'm too young for all these overmodulation jokes.
Well, you grew up in a more politically correct
era.
Hey,
you're the one with the Santa Claus tie over there. Don't tell me that you are too young. Hey, this is our Christmas edition, I think. I think this is considered.
And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the bigger stories from last year.
But first,
from this year, I guess.
Can I give them a choice first really quick?
Sure.
Are you guys sweet or savory?
Depends on what the sweet is and what the savory is.
Savory, always.
You're savory? Okay, well, here you go. Here's your savory gift. Although I think your boys are sweet.
Well, I'm not real happy with them. Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to give them
because they ate all the cookies that I bought.
What do you think,
Beth?
Muddy Buddy sweet or savory Chex Mix?
Sweet.
Ooh, a woman after my own heart. Does anybody have a favorite Christmas? What are you? Savory, sweet?
I have to go with savory because of my triglycerides being so high.
Ready? Good catch. So what is your all's favorite?
Right in the bread basket.
Of that modulating dude over there. What do you guys have a favorite Christmas snack, treat that you make every year? Anybody?
Well, I don't make it, but my mom's sugar cookies.
Ooh, secret recipe?
Well, I've never asked, but it may be.
Frosting or no frosting?
Frosting.
Okay.
And sprinkles.
So does the frosting harden?
Yes.
Okay.
Ron, well, no. I mean, it's always soft.
Okay.
It may not last. I mean, I don't know. They don't last long enough to harden.
I heard that, and you just stop it right there. Okay, Ron.
Sorry, I was overmodulating.
Sweet or savory? Do you have a favorite Christmas treat indulgence?
Well, Mom makes 7-layer bars. I like that. I like date nut pudding.
Oh.
I like chocolate no-bake cookies, which are made with oatmeal and peanut butter and cocoa.
Yep, everybody knows a no-bake.
And that's pretty. I could make that when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Learned to do it myself.
What about you, Beth?
Well, my mother used to bake cookies for days, and she'd made the hardtack candy with the oil, the flavors in it. But her specialty was her applesauce cake, and you're going to make me cry.
Tell me about that.
It was delicious. She heated up the applesauce, and it was a cake, but it had nuts and raisins in it. And I know people say fruit cake. No, it wasn't a fruit cake at all.
It's like a date nut cake.
And it was always better, she said, 2 days after she made it.
Yeah. After it sat
and she would
soaked up all
make
the
it.
juices.
She would make 20 loaves easy, and she gave it to all the teachers at school, and she gave it to my dad's special folks at work, and I could never get enough of it.
I love that.
And I haven't had it now probably for at least 10 years.
She give you the recipe?
I don't know. My mother gave me no recipe. She gave them to my daughter.
Well, maybe
they should
that's
be in the
something that
family
your
then.
daughter needs to make for you this year.
Or let you borrow it.
I'll have to send her a link for this so she can hear that I need the applesauce recipe.
Yes, you've got tears in your
Does-
eyes. I
does
think we're
she
needing
live
some
close?
applesauce cake.
Yes, she does.
Well, maybe I should friend request her so I could get it.
I bake. That's all I do. I feel like I feed people, and I've done that. Ever since my kids were little. We always had kids in the house, and I bake and I bake and I bake and just give it all away.
Well, my kids will tell you that I never cooked, and I don't know how they survived and lived, but they say I never cooked, but I did cook.
Yes, you did. Otherwise, sometimes I look at my kids and say, "How in the world did you survive this life?" So they do somehow. They're resilient.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
My kids are in their mid-40s. One is almost 50, so she survived.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
That 100 and some years ago, that was the life expectancy. So
Yeah,
they made it to 50.
I've done my job.
Doesn't that amaze you when you look back? Like, I'm 54 and my oldest is 32, but it really, I still look at them like they're my littles.
I remember on my 50th birthday, my father, who was a big jokester, called me and he said, "Well, how does it feel to be 50? And not missing a beat, I said, "I don't know. How does it feel to have a child that's 50?
That's right.
And he said,
Gotcha.
"Oh,
Ooh, touche there,
feels
sis.
better than having the child that's 50.
Well, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because I love Christmas and I love, baking and spending time in the kitchen.
That's all part of it. It's
and sharing.
and the friends and the family."
Yeah.
just finding ways to get together and have a few
And
moments
food
together.
brings people together.
And helping
If
others.
you bring food, I'll be there.
The most
It's like
important
anything.
thing is when you can help somebody else over the holidays.
Well, speaking of that, we have we're going to be delivering gifts to seniors on Friday. We adopted a senior in my family, and this is the first year. I'm ashamed to say that we do different things every year, but this is the first time we've adopted a senior through Faith in Action.
Nice.
And and I also signed up to deliver. So we're going to be baking some more and delivering gifts to seniors.
I'm a senior.
Yeah, but you don't qualify.
Oh,
These are shut-ins.
I wanted some more of those
Listen,
cookies.
I bring you stuff every time you show up here. I'll make you some more cookies. You want some cranberry white chocolate chip cookies?
Oh my gosh, yes, they were delicious.
Let's just put it this way. When you guys don't show up, I don't get any cookies or
That's right.
candy.
That's true. I mean, I have to feed y'all when you come because I
I
really do.
have to be here anyway. She has to bribe you guys to be here.
And I appreciate the fact that you guys come on and share your perspective and your wisdom and your knowledge about things that happen in the city.
Yeah,
And
we really couldn't do it without you.
No, I'm super appreciative of that.
I'm appreciative because this is the only place that I have where I can actually control what is being aired about what I say.
Right. We can't edit.
But
It's like live, but it's on tape,
But I'll do interviews with TV stations, and they pick and choose what bite they want to put on.
Right.
And it may or may not be what I consider the highlight of
The most
the
important
most
thing.
important thing that I talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
So here I'm able to complete sentences and give context to what I'm talking about.
And
I really appreciate you
Our
guys.
audience, I think, appreciates that. I always run into people. In fact, I really freaked a guy out today. I went to pick up my car, and I had never used this company before. It was I'll just give them a plug. David Smith Auto Body there in Jefferson, and I really freaked the guy out because when he was talking to me when I called. He was talking to me. He was also listening to the podcast.
Oh gosh!
And he couldn't figure out what was going
That's
on.
crazy. You manifested right.
Right on the phone. Then when I came in, he figured it out.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I know that guy.
And
that voice.
He's
it was just a random conversation. So you just don't know
who's listening.
Who's listening? When we have an idea of numbers, but who the people are.
And he doesn't fit in our most popular demographic either. It's
no.
very interesting.
Educated. We kind of skew a little bit more towards educated women.
Yeah.
Middle age or so, but also not dominantly.
Right.
But there's a good number of men that listen. But
as proven today.
I think he was a little younger, skewed a little younger, but not really young.
Well, and people are listening because this is where you hear what's really going on, and this is where you get information that is unedited and that has resulted in a lot of changes in the city through the city administration, whether it's CPD or whether it's the media at city council meetings. And I just appreciate the fact that Adam, with his experience in the city, I feel like he brings a lot to Beth's input because she's a current city council person and he's a former city council person where he had a lot of experience on council. And so I think she learns from him and he learns from her. And we all learn from both of them. And we never get a lot of time to talk to them. And that's why I want to have them on. Although I did want to speak really quickly about our last episode last week with Rusty Webb. And
this was concerning West Virginia First Foundation, which is the organization created by the legislature through and with the Attorney General to distribute about $250,000 in opioid money. There's probably going to be about $1 billion.
$250 million. It's going to be close to $1 billion.
It'll be $250 million that they get, and then the cities and counties will get a good part of the rest of it, and then the state will get an amount for administration.
And I was listening to him, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I get it. Like, you don't, even though he's being accused of using it as a political weapon, the reason that that the Attorney General created this foundation was so that it wouldn't, wouldn't be politicized.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just kind of get absorbed into the system of the
overhead and administrative
right,
costs.
And then DHHR takes anytime there's any kind of distribution, they would take in previous court cases, with settlements, DHHR ended up with as much as 25% of those dollars.
And so I get that, and it made a lot of sense as I was listening to him. Although deeper into the deeper that we got in the conversation, that's when the light bulb went off. And this money is going to have a lot of restrictions and regulations on it. But here's what I worry about when we talk about the nonprofits, right? Like, there's going to have to be, since this money has regulations and restrictions on it, anybody can say, hey, I'd like to, create a nonprofit that will address this issue as far as the opioid crisis, or I'd like to create. We have seen this happen,
right.
And so that's the problem I have with it. Like, everybody's going to want to get their hand in that pot.
Well, there's been so many
expenses.
Expenses for counties, especially, who've had to increase jail bills.
Yeah.
Which my problem is the state is the landlord in this case for the jail system. So they're charging the counties for the regional jails for prisoners going to regional jails, and in this case it's going to be money going to the counties. The counties need to catch up on the regional jail bills so they don't default on that. And where does the money go? The money goes back to the state.
Right.
So it's. I would call it a little bit of sleight of hand when it comes to dollars,
actually spent on
right, because they have to go back to the state.
The problem or solving the problem.
When I think maybe the state should have absorbed some of that.
I think so too. I mean, they can. They can just write it off.
Well, if we've got $1 billion surplus, maybe instead of $1 billion surplus, we only have a $900 million surplus, and we pay the jail bills for all these poor counties that have borne the brunt, because it's the poorer counties that usually have the worst situations.
And if you think about it, there's 49 counties that are basically on the edge of insolvency. Like
quite a few. I don't think it's that many, but there's quite a few.
It's in the 40s, I think.
Is there?
Yeah.
Is that right?
But yeah, I just thought
Either they are or they have been in the past.
and that's the problem I have with it. Like what we have learned about nonprofits and how they operate, and we just got several emails this week about alleged malfeasance or misuse of funds within the nonprofit, local nonprofits.
Right.
And that just bothers me. I mean, I just don't know that we're ready for that kind of money. You know, you think about the what are they called? The rehabilitation houses or that are popping up all over the city. Adam, help me with that term.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those are federally funded. And,
Some of that,
and the cities
yeah.
have no control
The
over
recovery
where they
houses.
go.
The
That's what you're
recovery
looking for?
homes,
Okay.
right? Like I feel like we're ripe for that kind of.
Well, I hope they do the oversight like they did with the opioid, not the COVID money. They had that law firm out west that was handling the vetting of the nonprofits from the city of Charleston, and you had to jump through all kinds of hoops, and a number of nonprofits ended up being, dropped off the list.
Yeah, but many nonprofits
Many
did get money,
did get money.
and
Right.
still haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
Or took the money and then whatever business venture they were working for or working at, dissolved and they didn't do it. And some have given back. Some have given that
But
money
having
back.
that that lawyer, the law firm overseeing it, kind of, I think, helped with some of that. I don't know that it did or not.
Well, it
might-
helped, but I think
there was
we need a lot
still
more.
a
I mean,
lot-
you
yeah.
know,
A lot more oversight. How do you oversee $1 billion? I don't know.
well, I don't think you can, and
I
I
think
think that's
you
one of the
can.
problems, that we
That's
have
the
with,
concern.
our state's, $1 billion budget and our,
Right.
country's, multi-trillion dollar budget.
Yeah. It's just huge. I don't know how you oversee that. And that's the problem that I have with it.
Well, this is an attempt to do. This is not the first. We're not the first state that I guess is using this process. I think we copied it off of another state. So we may get, since they've been doing it for maybe a little longer than we have. Maybe we'll get an idea of what could go wrong in time for us to correct some issues. But the Attorney General has been invited, and he's always welcome here.
Yeah.
I know he sometimes has a little bit of a controversial, relationship with some of the press, and I get that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to edit his story. If he wants to be on here, we'll let
Absolutely.
him tell his story the way it is, and we'll ask follow-up questions. But we're not here to do the gotcha.
Right. I'm not smart enough to
When
gotcha.
people. When gotchas happen on this show is because they did it to themselves.
Accidental. Yeah,
They did it to themselves.
I'm not wired that way. I'm too honest. I don't want to catch anybody up in anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to seem
Like,
like I'm hating on this plan either. I think this is
I
a
think
far
this
better
may be the
alternative than
best-
just giving it to
Exactly.
the DHHR.
This may be
100%.
very well be the best way of distributing this money of all the ways that are available.
Yeah, it's still open for corruption. We just have to understand
corrupt
that.
people will find new ways of
Absolutely.
of corrupting any kind of system.
Yeah.
But that's why we need watchdogs
Mm-hmm,
on that. Just like with the ARPA funds, ARPA funds were, being given out almost like Gatorade at a football practice.
And speaking of ARPA funds, I wonder how many businesses in Charleston received ARPA funds or received business loans and now are no longer in
business.
That is an interesting.
Well, we could find that out, but
Yeah, we
I
could.
can think of at least one or two.
What's one that you can think of?
Well, they gave the money back, so I don't want to seem overly
okay.
critical of it.
Okay.
But the people at Rock City, wanted to do a bagel shop venture.
Oh, that's right.
And
I remember
got
that.
some money. Yeah,
And they gave it
they
back.
did. Then they gave it back. And,
Okay.
that comes to mind because I felt like they did it the right way.
Yeah,
But I
that's
hate
good.
it. Now we still don't have a bagel
Yeah,
shop.
no bagel shop. But I mean, I think
My
that's
doctor-
something-
I
Well,
miss
be
Chesapeake
appreciative.
Bagel.
That was great. That was a great place. I guess
I can make you bagels at home.
I don't want to go to your house,
I'll bring them to you.
But I mean, the other one, and I'm not.
but you can bring them here.
I'm not afraid to say my name, but I mean, I voted against it. As Matthew Watts and his organization was given
Yes.
a huge sum of money.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest, at that time.
What was-
Have we seen any-
500,000?
Yeah, it was
What was the money
500,000.
for?
It was for like job training and something else that was very vague.
Did it ever?
Well, that's why I haven't seen anything. And
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on
it's
there?
been at least
he
a
got
year.
$500,000 from the city and $500,000. He got $1 million. $500,000 from the state, right?
No, it was from the federal government.
Federal government,
Even
right.
though, and preface this is well, that didn't come from the city. Well, the city helped him.
$500,000 did.
Yeah,
and then-
city did help him get that money earmarked from Senator Manchin, to create this. So I mean, the city's actually had its hand in both the city money coming in directly and then the federal money coming in indirectly.
It seems like a lot of the people that are getting money have cozy relationships with the administration.
Oh, I think the majority of it was used and as a kind of a campaign re-election platform from the mayor.
Absolutely.
She gave, in my opinion, she gave lots of money to organizations like this that had big nonprofit boards, and then it was like, hey, come election time, hey, I helped you out, and you're going to help me get reelected if you want some more of that money,
right?
Come to me.
I swear, I just feel like. I feel like I'm an honest person. I feel like most of us are honest people, and we don't want to deceive anybody. We want to make sure that we have a perception of honesty and integrity, and doing stuff like that would just bother me. It's like I saw.
If you can justify it, those people have an internal self-justification system that they can justify the
anything.
means.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't get it.
Well,
it's a different.
My conscience doesn't
people
let me
are just
sleep.
wired
Wouldn't let
differently.
me sleep.
They
Yeah.
can have a good intention, doesn't mean they have good follow through.
Right.
Oh yeah, I would never apply for those kind of funds because
Exactly.
I
don't want that kind
I
of
don't want that
responsibility.
burden. Yeah,
Right.
I want to be able to sleep at night. I don't even like to owe taxes.
Yeah.
I want to find out what it is and pay it.
Well, it's like my daughter. Well, they're going somewhere where I did not want to go tonight, simply on principle. I'm standing on principle tonight, and I'm not going to go and support something that I don't believe in, or a group of people or an organization that I just cannot.
Here in Charleston?
Yes, and I refuse to go.
Would we get sued if we mention the name? Or?
Well, it has to do with Slango. I ain't going to anything
Okay,
they're
yeah,
sponsoring. I ain't doing
leave that alone.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
We'll just leave that alone.
But I just feel like that most people have principles and integrity, and want to be perceived as having those things. But I just feel like some people here in Charleston and in power and in leadership in the county just don't even care what the perception is. And that's just troubling, but it is what it is.
Right. Well, I mean, there's, we can just kind of look at the year in
Yeah,
review
let's look at
of
that
so
real
many
quick.
things.
And then I want to get Beth's. I want to get Beth and Adam's. Like I said, I'm talking too much. I want them to talk. But why don't you go ahead and highlight, Ron?
Well, I dug back in our files, and I just wanted to pull out a few. I don't, we can't go week by week and look at everything, but I just pulled out a random,
maybe, and that might spur their memories too.
random
and be like,
outline.
Oh, I want to add on that.
We in April 18th timeframe, we criticized Governor Justice for over spending of ARPA funds, and then there was Senate Bill 129 came up limiting gubernatorial authority to spend certain federal funds without approval of the legislature, and we also looked at what's happened with the DHHR and being split into 4 agencies. That's supposed to take effect on January 1st. It doesn't look as if that is. It's not a smooth transition from what I can see. So the state paid millions to an advisor, a consultant, whose advice was not to split up the agency.
Right.
So they spent millions to do exactly what somebody told them to do.
Exactly.
There's also, we looked at the West Virginia checkbook, which would support, West Virginia checkbook would support legislation requiring cities to put all their finances online, which I don't think Charleston does.
They voted to do it, and they have picked and chosen what they will share to put on
Yeah, the city
there.
only puts out there what they want people to see, so it's not really, in my mind, that wasn't really the point
Beth, have
of
you
the
ever
checkbook
asked about
itself.
that?
No, but that's coming up, one of my questions for my January meetings.
Is it going to be in the public or in the public comment period, or what is that period
Remarks.
where
Yeah.
public
Remarks.
remarks
City
where
council
she
remarks.
where
yeah.
she doesn't
Member remarks.
No, we
I
don't.
wish-
We can't have Republican remarks. It's
I
gotta
just
be-
wish there was a time during city council that we could actually ask questions and get a result or an answer.
because isn't that the only meeting that is streamed, or are all the meetings streamed?
Most of the meetings are streamed, but they're not open for questions.
Right, I don't
And
get that.
I don't know where we're supposed to get our answers, and it's always see me next week, or I'll get back. I'll circle back.
I'll circle
with you.
back. We'll meet about that. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of her circling back is like the orbit of Pluto. You know, our year is 365 days. A Pluto year is probably about a couple of thousand years. You know.
And the thing is,
Of
like,
our years, anyway.
you're not the only one that has that question. We all have those questions. I don't understand.
There's a number of fiscal questions I have that I'm going to be asking in January.
Why don't you tell us what they are?
Well,
Do you mind?
no, I don't care. Settle and Stolnicker was doing an audit of the city as they do every year. And last January is when we got the results. And if you've listened to me talk on city council or on here, I have asked directly about several of the points that was mentioned in the audit of recommendations for the city to do, and have been told, oh yes, we're doing this, oh yes, we're doing that. And I'll be curious to see what the results of this audit are going to reveal.
Yeah, same here.
If they were in fact doing what
If they did
said.
comply.
If they did comply. And so that's one of the questions. I want to see the results of the audit. And that was when the audit letter was given last year, it was supposed to be sent out to all the council members. It was not. And it got leaked to a council member who then shared it with the rest of the council members.
Was that you?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
But,
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten that.
but the thing is, why shouldn't we know what the audit? We are the watchdogs, if you will, of the fiscal reporting and the spending of money for the city of Charleston, and we should be kept in the loop.
Yeah.
So why not? I thought we were transparent in Charleston's government.
Yeah.
Same thing like the question about I had with the hydrants. The information was obtained by the mayor, but it was not shared and passed along to the city councilors who have constituents who want to know about that.
Let me ask you a question. What about Joe Solomon and Chelsea Stillhammer? Do they echo your sentiments about this administration? Because I feel like you're the only outspoken, like you're the only one asking these questions on the floor. I mean, I've seen Chelsea.
Well, you have to understand their age and my age. There comes a point in life when you quit worrying about what people think that what's coming out of your mouth. And they are still learning. They're younger. And, they, in private, they agree with me. Mm-hmm. And at times they have spoke up and echoed and supported what I was asking.
But she does not treat them well. Do you think that has made them back off?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't care
It's
how I'm
interesting.
treated.
Looking back at the earlier part of the year, on March 2nd episode, we looked at the Charleston City audit done by Settle and Stolnicker, which revealed that Charleston had significant financial problems, within the budget. And we're still, I guess we'll have another audit next year.
Well,
right?
the West Virginia State Auditor has been conducting an audit for over a year now.
That's
And
in addition to the regular city
Have we
audit,
heard
right?
anything about that, Adam?
nope, it has been crickets. So that
Well, they say it's
tells me
ongoing, but
that-
at some point it
it's
has
still
to stop.
ongoing.
When they
Yeah.
say,
But the thing
here's
is-
a lesson in life. When they say it's ongoing, that means there's something going on.
Right. It's never going to end.
Well, to me, if everything was on the up and up,
It would be done.
it would have been in and out. But I think that they're finding things and they're digging deeper. That's just my intuition, given my age, of what's going
Well,
on.
it sure has gone on a long time.
Well, the Settle and Stolnicker is a paid service. The city pays money to. So they're for them to say something bad, I mean, it's just something
Well,
that it has to be so
they're-
flagrant that
they're
it
a
can't be
vendor.
ignored.
Right.
They're a vendor, and every city has to hire somebody to conduct the audit.
But-
because the state won't do it anymore, and they used to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that J.B. Akers was here talking about the report from Settle and Stonecker last year, and he said that he had never seen that many discrepancies or corrective actions that needed to be taken ever. He had gone back 10 years or so on audits.
And Adam was on council at that time, and
Yeah,
he
well,
can speak to that.
For 2 terms previous, the last term and then 2 terms prior to that. And yeah, that list was way longer than anything I remember. I mean, certainly, we get to audit, and no audit's going to be 100% clean, especially given, the organization the size of the city.
Right.
But to see that many items, I mean, that would probably triple
I've seen
the
audits
amount
from
of
other
items.
cities, and nobody has these issues. Or maybe 1 or 2 minor issues. Like you left, the city seal off the paperwork or something, or it didn't go all the way
or
through the
something
paperwork.
wasn't filed in a certain time frame. Or,
Right. It's usually for most cities something very, very minor, or
Nothing like you're paying temporary employees retired from the state, like
right.
How many
hundreds of
times what a
thousands
normal
of
city
dollars.
worker
Right.
makes?
Three
People that
times,
never
yeah.
take a vacation. Well, are we close to a break? Is Ryan signaling
Yeah,
us,
you want to
or-
take? I'm just over here eating my savory snack.
Let's go. Let's go ahead and take a break. Eat
All right.
some savory, and then I'll talk about another episode we did in January.
Okay, cool. And then we'll talk more about the city. We'll be right back.
The Scoop Squad Truth Pod would like to thank our sponsors. Those include Chris Walters at Integrity Insurance, featuring auto, home, life, business, workers' compensation, and pet insurance. Pet insurance, you say? That's health insurance for your dogs or cats that covers special foods, illnesses, surgeries, and medication. They're on 16 Capitol Street in Charleston at 346-9181, or reach them at www.iigwv.com. Also by Jody's Mobile Services, offering steam cleaning, pressure washing, fleet washing, and auto detailing. We come to you. They're at 304-437-3164. And also by Eggplant on Bridge Road. Anything but ordinary. Go to eggplantshop.com. Also by T-Graphics on the west side, 312 Buchanan Street, 345-4816. Go to tgraphics.com for screen printing and embroidery since 1984. Again at 345-4816.
You're listening to the second scoop of the Scoop Squad Truth Pod. It is Christmas time, and we are sitting here talking. Is it happy? I don't know.
We're munching and
I know
crunching
we're
is what
munching.
we're
That's
doing.
making me happy. But we're just talking about just a year in review, perhaps, and all the things that have gone down citywide, statewide. We're talking with
Maybe we're
Yeah, some
talking
things
about
haven't
Santa's naughty and nice
Oh,
list.
there you go.
I haven't seen the nice list yet.
Who's getting coal? Who's getting the gifts? So let's pick up
Who's
where we
getting
left
coal
off.
severance, for that matter.
Let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about the audit of the city of Charleston. Adam, what do you want to say about that?
Well, it's baffling to me that the audit came out, and first of all, city council had to fight to get it, but eventually, they did.
Well, it was
Not to the
leaked, right?
administration. Yeah.
Beth said it was leaked.
It was leaked.
Why are elected officials having to rely on leaked documentation? I mean, those are things that should be supplied right away.
Well, I would say it was because the
probably
council
by
president
statute.
is not looking out for the interests of her council members. I mean,
And
everyone should,
Who
everyone should
is
get
the
that for
council
sure.
president?
And
Oh,
let's
it's
give
Becky
the name.
Sepperly.
So
Okay.
Becky Sepperly is council president. So she is the one, and she is setting. Is she the one that sets the agenda? Is she the one that?
Well, she should,
That
but I don't
really
think that she
surprises.
is.
That really surprises me about Becky, because the way I know who Becky Kane is or Becky Sepperly.
Sepperly.
She was Becky Kane at one time, and when she was Becky Kane, she was over the League of Women Voters, not just in West Virginia, but nationally. So, what they are responsible for is, maintaining clean and fair elections and transparency.
No,
And-
I have
and-
watched Becky separately.
Are you sure that's what they're for now? Ron?
Well, I'm talking when I knew her before. When she was involved with that, that was that's what League of Women Voters. They would conduct the debates, gubernatorial debates and other debates. But she had risen to the national level
Interesting.
because of her her efficiency and ability, and that's why it's surprising to hear these things about her job as council president.
And if you remember correctly, first day of city council, when we were going to nominate and elect our council president, is when I nominated Shannon Snodgrass
Who was in the political party of the majority.
and to be city council president. And of course, she did not win, but I wish she had of, because one thing Shannon is very transparent, and she would stand up for city council, and she would make decisions.
She's independent and vocal,
Exactly.
which is not what the team wants.
Yeah, well, so when, just bring up, like in the previous segment, Beth talked about, how, why is there no place for her to ask a question as a council member and get
An answer.
an answer? Well, if that's not happening during the city council meetings, it should at least be happening at the committee level. But,
Right.
the committees rarely meet, if they do. And
Aren't you on a committee that has never met since you've been in office?
I'm
Or
on
maybe
one that's
met
met
once?
once or twice in a year. Finance meets regularly.
But isn't there a government organization committee or one of the other committees that
Ordinance.
you're on? Ordinance.
Ordinance, I'm not on the ordinance committee. They have recently started meeting. They had not met, I don't think, until August or September.
Isn't it in code that these?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says
Committees
they
have
have
to
to
meet?
meet regularly.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not defined numerically. But the standing
Like-
committees have to meet regularly. But maybe that's something city council can look at. But it may just be that they're not defined numerically, so anyone can say, "Oh, well, we're meeting regularly." If that's
most
yearly
of the
to
work
them,
is done in the committees, and everybody knows that, right? Like that's where you hammer out all these
Well, it should
issues.
be.
Well, facilities has met one time this year. Public safety has met 2 or 3 times this year.
With all the issues we have, and they've only met that often.
Yes.
how many times do you think economic development or urban renewal and economic development has met?
I don't know. I'm not.
I don't think they met at all. At most, I think it's one
Well,
time.
Beth would have been there if they had.
Well, I was trying to get to 100 meetings this year, and I'm probably at about 91.
Well, because they don't meet.
Well, no, but there was a couple that I slacked off on and didn't get to in the last month or so.
It's not slacking off.
No.
I feel
You go way above and beyond.
Yeah.
I
Yes, you
feel
don't.
like I let people down when I don't attend all these
Because
meetings.
you have that sense of
Because
responsibility. I respect that.
I report back to a lot of people
Yeah.
about what happened at the meetings, and I ask questions at the meetings. Oftentimes, the questions are not welcomed, but I don't care. I'll ask them anyway.
Can I ask you a question? Do any of your constituents express interest in actually going to these meetings on their own, or is that a conversation?
Some of them have, but a lot of them are during the daytime. People work.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in the evening.
Right.
People have obligations. They've worked all day. They come home. They've got kids. So
It's a lot for someone to.
I will tell you, if it's something that really matters to them, I believe they would show up
Yeah.
in numbers.
I feel like it all matters.
And it's
Well,
like
a lot of it is issue based.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
but when they're talking about the trails, the trail people showed up to
Yeah,
city council.
right.
When they were talking about the bike lanes, we were
Needle
full of
exchange.
the needle exchange. What was another one? But when it's an issue that is near and dear to their heart, people will get out and they will speak up. But we need people to be more involved
Yes,
in the
we do.
city.
I honestly feel like some people have just given up. It's like why go to council and ask questions when you're not going to get an answer? The mayor's not even going to give you, if she doesn't like what you're saying, she's not even going to look at you. So
A fellow council member leaned over to me the other night at the meeting and they said, these public speakers come in here and speak, but do we ever get an answer about what was done? Nope. And the answer is, I've never got an answer about anything that was done. And there was a woman who spoke up this past Monday about Valley Bell blocking Roan Street to the point where her husband needed an ambulance, and they had to block the street because the tractor trailers were double and triple parked on Roan Avenue, and it was just an issue. And there was another public speaker that was there who spoke up and said, if it doesn't get resolved through the city, contact me and I'll help you. And that infuriated the mayor.
Do you know
it's not the first time, that people have been threatening vigilantism this year.
Well,
it's not.
You feel desperate in some cases. Nothing's getting done.
They're like, if you don't take care of this, I'm going to take care of it. And the outcome will not be good.
Well, it was a West Side entity that was there. And
can you tell me? I mean, that's public information.
It was Mavery Davis.
Okay.
And but watch her when I'm speaking.
Yeah.
She'll pace back and forth and
snarl and twitch.
Are you talking about the mayor?
Yeah. It's super weird. So, when she's mad.
I don't really look at her while I'm talking. Because
it's just hugely disrespectful.
When I was talking at the last meeting, I was talking to my fellow council members. I was not even addressing the mayor.
Right.
Because
you were. Yeah.
I was wanting...
You said we have to remember as a council.
We have to remember as a council what our priorities are. And I wasn't criticizing the mayor one bit. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with representing our constituents and our businesses in our wards and in the city and making sure that they had the right to safe, clean, dependable water.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with the mayor, really.
No.
But I thought that we should come
unless
together.
There's an opportunity for her to take credit for something.
Right. Right.
But, I was just wanting the people to be thinking about that. And to that note, I know just in my personal little circle of friends of several people who are still having problems with their heaters, their gas lines and everything else.
I can imagine.
There is a a lot of things are back ordered on those heating components. And it's the same issue we have in this building. We have a piece that's broken. You may have noticed as we're talking, as the temperature outside gets lower, it's going to get lower in here. There's a part that we need that's back ordered, and about 25 homes on the west side are waiting on parts. That the gas and water company are going to pay for, but the HVAC companies, heating and cooling companies, can't get the parts.
Yeah.
So like us, which is in a normal situation, you kind of have to wait for it. Now, they've been waiting
a long time since before Thanksgiving.
One woman has water back in her gas lines again.
Oh, no.
One woman...
that's not an easy fix.
They're going to have to replace her furnace. They didn't think they were going to have to, but they're going to have to. Another woman, they replaced her furnace, and the thermostat's not working correctly. If she puts it on 70, it goes up to 80 degrees in the house. Gosh. If she puts it on lower than 70, it drops down to like 50. This is an 82-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And she went without any gas, heat or ways to cook for over 4 weeks. It's just ridiculous. And I know that the gas company's trying, but what I'm saying is there are still people
suffering
that are having issues with the gas lines.
But, administration has gone on to other subjects.
Oh yeah, the administration was talking about it as if it was in the past tense, and they issued a proclamation.
We did.
Yeah, they issued a proclamation, and Mavery's group, West Side Together, was there, receiving lots of others. And in my mind, how in the world are we discussing this in the past tense like it's already been resolved?
That proclamation was proposed by Joe Solomon to recognize the folks on the west side, basically, but all those that participated in helping.
Yeah, but it's not. I agree with Adam. Like it's not over. What are you doing?
It's not over.
That's too early to be. Adam, what's your thought? I mean.
Well, it just seemed very premature. I mean, to talk about it in the past tense. And I don't want to hate on Joe's idea. Certainly, Joe wants to commend people that have been going. I thought that should have been clear that, hey, I want to thank these people for working on this, and we still have a lot of work to do. Just watching, the meeting, the mayor basically was washing her hands of it and made it seem like we're done. And I'm like,
well, at least she was able to. Done. At least she was able to wash her hands of it. For 3 weeks,
was
people
the water
on the west
hot?
side couldn't wash their hands.
Yeah, I don't laugh about it, but just watch. In my opinion, it seemed like the administration was thanking everyone for a job well done, and it should have been a job well done and well doing.
Or let's
Ongoing.
let's keep doing what we're doing. I just don't understand the need to pat yourself on the back. And most people don't want, let me tell you something. Most people don't want recognition. The ones who are out there volunteering,
that are doing it?
like, I'm not going to tell you everything I do for everybody that I do it for. Like, I'm just not. I'm just not going to toot my own horn.
No, most people, aren't
You do that
politically savvy. They just want to do it without the recognition.
Because you want to help. It's not because you need or want the recognition. Most people don't want it. That's all I'm going to say.
But there are people who want to shine a spotlight on some other people. And rightfully, those people should be recognized. But the reason they're doing it is that some of the spotlight gets cast on them
right.
as the one who's bringing up the hero or honoring somebody
Right.
who's done a good deed. It always seems to somehow get cast back onto the one shedding the light.
Yeah, and I just don't understand.
In that case, it becomes self-serving. Another interesting topic that keeps coming up is child sex abuse. Back on January 19th, and we've talked about child sex abuse several times through the year. It came back up several times. But the question was asked, is there a child sex abuse epidemic in West Virginia? We met with Kate Flack, the CEO of West Virginia Child Advocacy Network, about the huge increase in child abuse in the state. Last year, over 4,700 children were served by a child advocacy center. 52% were there because of allegations of sexual abuse, and 270 individuals were convicted for crimes against children. So if you want to go back to that episode, that's January 19th of 2023, episode 37. Now we're up in the 80s. Mm-hmm. But that one is interesting. But, and then a little bit later in the year, we met with a victim, someone who's an adult now, but was abused as a child in the area of Tornado, West Virginia, outside of St. Albans. Mm-hmm. And told her story, which was heartbreaking. She was part of a child sex network, organized by her father and by a prominent doctor in that town at that time. And it basically scarred her for life in that relationships she's had as an adult have been very toxic. Because she grew up in a toxic environment. It seems that she was drawn to toxic manipulators and abusers. Her name was Cassie. I don't remember if we actually used her last name at the time, but in this case we didn't. It was her name was Cassie, and she fled a toxic adult relationship. When she finally realized there was a pattern here. Yeah.
We've also talked to other, professionals in the medical field and who deal with children and CPS and families, and that is a theme. Like it happens, and
we get texts and emails all the time about the CPS system, Child Protective Services system.
I am back in the public school system, and it's been a heart-wrenching year. Let me just say that. And
situations that you've encountered personally?
Yes. And it's very close to home. So it's kind of rocked my world a little bit. But
I think any
everybody,
one of us could
I promise
be
you
touched by
that
it.
I promise you that you have come into contact with these children.
Absolutely.
Or with these parents.
I had a friend named Larry that used to be a Santa Claus every year. And he told me that a number of children would sit on his lap and whisper to him things that were horrific about their home life because they felt that they could trust
And they
Santa
thought he was
Claus.
Santa.
Who else could you trust?
And that breaks my heart.
Did he ever have the need to report something to authorities?
I never discussed that with him.
Of course, there was a time where you just didn't talk about it.
Well, he passed away about 15 years ago, and I'm not sure what the standard.
Well, the sad thing
was.
is that even the agencies that you have to report to don't always do the best,
right?
Are in the best interest of the child, and that is.
But he felt like he was a confidant to children.
Yeah, for sure.
And so sad.
Yeah,
just so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a compelling. You talk about child trafficking and human trafficking and opioid abuse and it's that's been hard. So why don't we transition? We're going to take a break and we will come back and talk more. I'd like to talk about CPD. Are y'all up for that? And
we could talk about CPD and some other government officials.
Yeah.
We also, could look at, what happened in Lincoln County this year.
Okay.
We talked about them twice, and in Calhoun County several times.
Yep. We will follow up with all of that.
And party switchers. We've had several of those.
Okay, let's do it. I thought you said party Switzers. I'm like, why are you calling me out?
Well, because I have a lisp for one. But
hey, we'll be...
Switchers know how to party, I'll tell you that. If you just look at the snack mix we got.
All right, we'll be right back.
The Scoop Squad Truth Pod would like to thank our sponsors. Those include Chris Walters at Integrity Insurance, featuring auto, home, life, business, workers' compensation, and pet insurance. Pet insurance, you say? That's health insurance for your dogs or cats that covers special foods, illnesses, surgeries, and medication. They're on 16 Capitol Street in Charleston at 346-9181, or reach them at www.iigwv.com. Also by Jody's Mobile Services, offering steam cleaning, pressure washing, fleet washing, and auto detailing. We come to you. They're at 304-437-3164. And also by Eggplant on Bridge Road. Anything but ordinary. Go to eggplantshop.com. Also by T-Graphics on the west side, 312 Buchanan Street, 345-4816. Go to tgraphics.com for screen printing and embroidery since 1984. Again at 345-4816.
And you're back with a third scoop of the Christmas edition of the Scoop Squad Truth Pod. And now we are going, before we talk about CPD, Adam and Beth have brought up really good points. We want to talk a little bit about the mall, about the sports comp proposed. Because I've had a lot of people message me and say, hey, has there been anything said in council about the sport, the aquatic or the sports complex? And I'm like, nope.
Wasn't there supposed to be a timeline of
Adam,
how this was
why don't
going
you
to
bring
take
us?
place?
I don't know. Fill us in, Adam.
Well, no, I wanted to talk about the mall because first
Yes.
of all, if you ask people in Charleston, or at least my experience, what they want out of their city government, 1 and 2 is going to be some, either public safety and or economic development, and that's generally in some order. That's always in the top 2.
And recreation.
So, I want to talk about something that just recently happened, although, this Christmas edition and year in review, I think it's kind of a microcosm of what we got going on. I mean, the mall is a huge downtown property. I mean,
we've talked about it several times.
Downtown dinosaur.
And nobody, I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but so my daughter was there. A lot of people have been there and said, Santa, nobody's coming to see Santa. Like, she literally was so sad because Santa was literally
Well, that was one of the things
alone.
I wanted to talk about.
But Anthony Peranzino gets online and says, He needs to be downtown where all the action is.
Well, I would tell Mr. Peranzino this, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about is, I saw the picture of you referring to, and I want to credit the photographer, although I don't know him, Zach Hayes, who's apparently just a local resident, took a picture of just the mall Santa and no one there, and, shared 2,500 times and, all these, comments about, well, what's happening to the mall and what's happening downtown and why are we wasting all this space, in the mall? It seems to come up, at least for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
What are we doing with the mall? Well, we're here in the Christmas season and it's, this literally should be the busiest shopping time of the year. But yet, what event does Charleston have, to go out there and support that? And that's the Christmas parade.
Right.
Well, just this year, the city of Charleston changed the parade route.
Yes.
To totally ignore the mall.
It was inside the constraints of the POTA. That's
that's what I'm getting to is that. So, we have changed the parade route we've changed the Christmas parade route. It used to come up in front of the mall. Well, now it's coming up Summer Street, to, incorporate the public drinking area or so everyone has to go see Holly Jolly Brawley, which, I would assume the mayor is saying is the big accomplishments this year. Mm-hmm. But, well, what does that mean for the mall? The mayor went out and very publicly proposed an aquatic center and Capitol Sports Center complex right there.
Just in time for election year.
Yeah, just in time for an election year. Are we abandoning those plans? Like, what are we doing, with this incredibly large, valuable space downtown? And if the mayor wants to kill it, which in my mind she does, or else why wouldn't you put the Christmas parade right there?
Where
either
people
kill
would
it or
go
don't.
see Santa.
Either kill it or don't. I mean, and if you're not going to support the mall, then don't.
The parking garages are just about have outlived their design. And there's safety problems there, and they may have to be torn down.
Well, Ron, you were even complaining the day of the Christmas parade how they blocked off the boulevard. You're like, why don't they just block off Virginia Street? Let people travel the boulevard to get home and get out of the city,
right?
And take it down Virginia Street and by the mall like they used to do.
If you're going to do it at night, bring it downtown where the businesses are. There's no businesses on the riverside of the boulevard,
right.
So How are you helping a business? You can help more businesses on streets where you have businesses on both sides.
Well, and I agree with you, Adam. Like, I remember going to the Charleston Christmas parade, and everybody ended at the mall because Santa came. That's when Santa made his appearance, right. And he ended up. I mean, when my kids were little, that was our day to go see Santa, and it was, it was strategically placed at the mall so that people would go in and spend money. And
well, yeah, that's the theory. But if we are abandoning the mall, which it seems like we are.
Like
the point of the mall is shopping, and the point of the Christmas parade is shopping. And if we can't align the two, then the mayor needs to come out and just say we're done with the mall.
I guess now the point of the Christmas parade is drinking.
Or showing off the Holly Jolly Brawley trees.
That everybody paid $250 to.
And they've been destroyed.
Yeah. I feel like once people, they get 1 year basically, and they're like, I'm not doing that again. I've heard a lot of people say that. Like, we spent $250 to enter this tree, not to mention what we spent on. And a lot of these causes that these trees are meaningful to people, and they represent something near and dear to these businesses' hearts, and they're destroyed. And it's heartbreaking. It's not just the money that they lose, but it's the meaning. And right. A lot of people, they're one and done because of the vandalism.
Yeah, have you seen very many that did it more than 1 year?
I can think. I think a lot of the mayor's friends are the ones that
I'm only laughing because the first one that came to mind is Joe Manchin.
Well,
well, for sure. Well, yeah. I mean,
he gets a very prominent spot every year
and
somehow.
He can afford to do it and have it vandalized and all that.
Right. I contemplated having us do one, but then I thought, well, surely that if one's going to get vandalized, it would be ours.
It would be ours.
But
I think we should.
But it wouldn't be by the homeless or by the criminals,
Right. We just have an invisible tree. All right, Adam. What else do you want to add about that? About the mall and the sports complex. I mean, Beth, we still haven't heard anything.
What's interesting is Councilwoman Pam Burka and I were talking before council started on Monday, and she said that it's amazing to her that the Huntington Mall, Beckley has 2 malls, Parkersburg's got a mall in Vienna.
They're thriving.
There's big malls in Ohio, and all these malls are thriving. Why isn't ours thriving?
I don't know. You got an answer? Because there's no stores in there.
Well,
there's nowhere to shop.
Well, we either we as a city, I think we either need to get on board with having them all, or just scrap it.
So what do you think they're going to do, Adam? Like, are the parking garages now?
I don't think the current administration wants to address it at all. I think she's willing to. Obviously, I mean, as seen with Charleston Christmas parade, she'll just sit back and just let it rot. But it's all this valuable space that we're not doing anything with.
My question is why? Why in the world would you spend money to put a state-of-the-art sports complex next to a dilapidated, dying mall? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, in my mind, the city should buy the mall, take over the mall, and do something with it. I mean, and
is that a possibility?
Well, I mean, everything has a price if you can afford it.
But at what cost are we going to spend at the sports complex? Take that money, buy the mall, and use the mall like the second floor, and put all the sports stuff on the second floor, put shops in the bottom. You've got a hotel coming where the Sears building was. You put the aquatic center where Macy's was. Then you have some stuff going on. Leave the food court up on the
I agree
floor.
with you. I don't know why. What is in it for her to let the mall just
why would you tear down a parking garage, not restore it? Because I remember back when the mall was in its heyday, you couldn't find a space to park.
No, I know.
If you've got a sports complex and an aquatic center, how many parking spaces are you going to need?
A lot.
I mean, surely to goodness we need more than what the mall had.
Yeah.
So have they thought about that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, and
to
these
me.
are questions. Have you asked these questions, Beth? I mean, I
We're
know
not allowed to ask questions.
Right. It's public
and
remarks.
The decision or the feasibility study is being conducted with people that are not on council.
Right.
Does the county commission have a representative?
Yes. The city has 2 representatives. The county commission has 2, but I don't believe there's any council members on there.
No, there are not.
No, there's not.
No members. Okay. So, but the city got to appoint somebody?
Well, that's the point. The city council has given up, with that vote, has given up any control over what happens.
There are a number of entities in Charleston that have been taken away from city council, like the beautification, the civic center. There's a bunch of different things.
Out of council's hands.
Council's hands. It's very frustrating.
Very frustrating.
And this is why I go to meetings.
Yeah, well, it's very frustrating. I mean, just take Beth and me for an example. You know, I can complain. Beth is my city council member. I can complain to Beth and say, what the heck's going on with the parade and the mall and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And where is Beth going to go? Like, that was my criticism of the whole, let's create this
commission
plan.
To help you. No way to help
Where's
you.
Beth going to go? Like, she can go ask these people, but if they don't answer her questions, that's it. The process ends.
Well, we've got just probably about 10 minutes left, so I thought maybe we could look at some of the other stories.
We have just a few minutes. Ryan was giving me he gave me the 5 fingers.
Okay, well, we'll do it quicker than that.
Okay.
We looked at County Commissioner Ken Carper's story earlier in the year. There was a complaint, a police complaint against him for indecent exposure.
Yeah.
He had some health issues. He was in the hospital, just down the hall from me when I was in the hospital in May. So, I can remember when that happened.
Hasn't that gone over to a federal indictment?
There's been federal subpoenas. Members of the county commission have been subpoenaed, I think, as well as the officer involved and his girlfriend, who was offered a promotion.
Who was Lance Wheeler's secretary.
Right.
Yeah.
And so all of those people had to testify earlier, but I think they had to come back again. That was November. Now I think there was supposed to be another appearance by them around December 12th, but we've heard nothing about that.
Nope.
We had a year of the police chief, Tyke Hunt, being outed. Well, he outed himself in a few of these pictures. Well, he
Leave
sent
it to
naked
you.
pictures to
Modulating guy, over-modulating guy over there.
Yeah, talk about overmodulation. He sent naked pictures to one victim.
At least one.
And
several.
Yeah, several people. And he is still, let's just say, he's still on the payroll.
Right.
He is still.
And he's up, he's applying for disability.
And he has received, not since he's been on administrative leave, but there were several pay increases that City Council did not know that he had received.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, I heard that the other day.
Interesting.
Well, that, he's eventually going to be replaced, but why has it taken all these months?
The application was put online last Friday.
But why wait that long?
And it's going to wait.
Here's my theory.
And it closes January 15th.
I think that the mayor had a candidate in mind. I think that she wanted to name John Garton
Deputy
chief,
chief.
or deputy,
the other deputy chief.
Yes, wanted to name him chief, but she got wind that there might be some charges or some lawsuits or complaints filed against
And
John
a complaint
Garton,
was
and
filed
a complaint was filed
last Thursday.
Yes.
However, the city is denying that it was filed.
There is someone a woman who has filed a complaint against Deputy Chief John Garton, and I think that the administration was waiting that out. I think they didn't want to name him chief because they got wind that this might happen. And now that it has happened, all of a sudden we have an application process happening.
Right.
So
the next day,
very curious.
There were also curious cases of overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst upper level police.
Yeah.
And why would you put overtime in the budget and then let it go almost $1 million over, $750,000 over? And
Well,
not,
because
where did that money?
I'll help you. Help
how
me.
did
I'll
that
help
money-
you. That's
but
exactly
how
what
did that
that
money?
is.
Where did that money come from?
Right.
That
Yeah.
was paid.
Well, we also had issues, with the sheriff of Lincoln County, who was not a police professional, working a cruiser, chasing down speeders or other potential criminals, without the proper training,
Right.
and had to have, if he did try to arrest someone, had to have another officer sign or a speeding ticket, but another officer had to sign the complaints. There were also issues in Lincoln County over their health department failing inspection.
Have we heard it? Is there an update?
No,
with
but
that?
we'll probably have something at the first of the year. A follow
Yeah,
up on
I'm
that.
super curious to see where
I've
that
talked
is.
to some Lincoln County officials.
We had
who-
County Commissioner,
Josh Stowers.
yes, Josh Stowers on a couple times.
Yeah, he's talked about us to several of our listeners because they
Well,
always mention it.
The
He's
last time he
mentioned
was
them.
on, he was not happy.
Right.
But
Well,
it's all right.
he said we had bad information. So
Yeah, but we really didn't.
and then Calhoun County had a sheriff who was deposed who had sold police cruisers,
Yeah.
deputy cruisers online
To friends and family.
for about he just placed them online, not through the proper state procedures of surplus property. He put them on eBay,
Yeah.
and then members of of his employees' family
Yeah.
ended up with them.
Hey, let's not forget about VOAD, West
And
Virginia
VOAD.
Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters.
Right.
And
That
that
one's
is
ongoing.
that's a current situation.
There's a board member there who had been on DHHR. Jeff Sandy, I think, was under investigation.
No, that was Timothy Pretty.
I'm sorry, Timothy Pretty, yeah.
Jeff
But
Sandy
Sandy-
is the retired cabinet secretary of Homeland Security, who's under his watch. We've got all of this regional jail situation, right, where his emails are being deleted by his general counsel. I feel like it's a theme in state government.
Right.
You've got it. It's so widespread. Like we just delete emails.
Right.
So that we can't.
And there's more stories
Deleting
about
evidence.
that. Yeah, there's more stories about that this week. That it wasn't accidental. And there were avenues
absolutely
of
not.
retaining them.
But he's sitting pretty
Yeah.
with an appointment. So I don't get that.
Well, anyway, next
awkward
year,
pause.
Next year will be.
Well,
next
there's so
year will
much to
be
do
no
with that. I
better.
mean, you can't go into it because we need like a whole show to get back into VOAD. I mean,
Yes.
it's crazy what they've been doing.
It is insanity, and why everybody's just like going like this. Oh, nothing to see here. I'm gonna look away.
Sounds like
maybe
city
if I
council.
I don't look, it's not happening.
Well, it's complicated. It is complicated, and it's complicated to investigate.
I think it's just. I think it
talk
involves
about.
so many people. I think there's so much wrongdoing and so much, maybe even neglect, or maybe people saw what was happening and they were questioning it, which I know they were because they've told me they were. This didn't really seem right. Yeah, it's because it probably wasn't. So that's
Anything
probably
else
what's happening.
in 23 that we talked about?
Adam, you got anything?
Well, I've got one or two.
Okay.
If
Tell
we
me.
can.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, there's two things. All right. Now, let's lead off with the one probably that's just, I don't want to take a jab at anybody, and then we'll talk about the good stuff. But I heard Bird Scooters recently filed bankruptcy.
Oh,
So these were the scooters that,
good
the city council
information.
made. Yeah, such.
I haven't
some on
really
city
even
council,
seen them around very much.
This was just frustratingly, city council spent more time talking about bird scooters and bringing bird scooters in.
And now they're-
And if you're not familiar,
And many other issues we should probably be focusing on.
electric scooters, that can be rented, with your credit card, for example, you could start on Elk River area, like Clendenin Street, and ride it down to
And just park it and leave.
Brook Street or something, and just leave it.
So they filed bankruptcy?
Yeah, but that doesn't. It's very new. I'm talking about just filed.
Right.
So we don't know, is it just restructuring or is the company going to go
Right.
away? But
Right.
Still, it's not good one way or the other. And the fact that some on city council invested so much time.
Yeah.
And to bring it
And
here after St.
That's
Albans
right.
got rid of them.
Right.
That it's,
Right.
to me that was just the whole process was just baffling.
It was probably destined to fail. I feel like we see those things happening. It's not going to work.
But the better story I want to talk about is just Faith in Action.
Yes.
And Scoop Squad getting involved with them. That's always been such a great charity, but I always, love to see them, get
They're
love.
over-
I am
You know,
so happy
get more
about
love,
that.
let's
And
put
let me
it that
tell
way.
you, I saw on, they approved, county commission approved money for some sort of, I'm going to misspeak, but like a acting performance group here in Kanawha County.
A drama group?
Something for some production. And I texted Lance Wheeler. I was like, what about Faith in Action? Like, have you gotten their application? Because I told, I'm the one that called, kind of tried to bridge that gap and call Lance Wheeler and say, hey, you just, you guys nixed that $50,000 to VOAD. Faith in Action needs $35,000 for a van, which Faith in Action had applied with the county before, but the county never even looked at their application. I'm sure that the county was inundated with.
And Faith in Action, just to remind our listeners, is an organization designed to help seniors.
Yeah.
Basically it fills in gaps that other services like Kanawha Valley Senior Services and Putnam Aging.
And they're a
can't do.
private organization. They don't take a bunch of public funds. They operate
it's
on
all
volunteers. But I texted Lance and I was like, what about Faith in Action? He's like, I never got the email. I'm like, well, I got the email because Jennifer forwarded me what she sent you. And he's like, well, let me check my spam. Guess where it was?
In the spam?
It was in the spam. So hopefully now that they've got their application, that they will come through and
But they do so much with so little.
They really
if you want to talk about
do.
helping out a charity,
That's
and
the
getting
one.
your money's worth for it, that's them.
Yeah,
That's the one.
And you can find Faith in Action. You can Google them. Faith in Action, Charleston, West Virginia.
Well, it's Faith in Action of the Greater Kanawha Valley, and they are located over in Adam and Beth's ward.
Right. If you Google them, but there are other Faith in Actions around
Yes.
the country, so you want to make sure it's this local one.
But Jennifer Wagner and her staff of one I feel like they do it the right way. They got a ton of volunteers that volunteer their time. They don't have a ton of administrative costs, and they are making a lot of people happy this
Great.
Christmas. So I'm super excited about
Good
that.
for
We're going to
them.
have to wrap it up. That was great. That was a good year in review.
That was, yeah.
I
There
feel
was a
like-
lot we left out, but you know what? Every one of these episodes is still available.
That's right.
You can go
84,
on-
85.
You can
something
go
like
on
that.
Spreaker or Spotify.
Or Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast or WCHSnetwork.com, and I think /podcasts. And you can find these and go back and you can look a little description, see which one you want to listen to. If you
Yeah.
want to listen to any of these topics that we've talked about.
And if you like what you hear, I need you to subscribe to us on that podcast platform. I need you to share us on Facebook. I need you to support our sponsors, which is T Graphics on the West Side, which is Integrity Insurance on Capitol Street.
16 Capitol Street.
Which is Elisa Payne at Eggplant at the Shops on Bridge Road.
And
Biggly,
people
Piggly,
are telling
Wiggly.
me they know so much about our sponsors because we talk about them so much.
Yeah, and Jody's pressure washing. And I heard that Eggplant sold out of the Miracle makeup remover towels.
They did because I went up there to get one, and they were already sold out.
Oh, wow.
True story.
But they have a lot of other good stuff.
So that will teach you. Next time I mention something, you better run up there and get it.
Yeah, our listeners appreciate our sponsors, and they go and support them.
Yeah.
Hence, you've talked about the towel.
Yeah.
And, people go into Piggly Wiggly. And,
which I missed the cakewalk. That's what I
No,
wanted
it's Cookie
to say.
Walk,
The
and
Cookie Walk.
you missed it twice because
Yeah.
I literally went in with my kids and bought cookies to bring in, and they ate them all today. So, the Cookie Walk was recorded today. It was both of them. It was both of them.
Well,
and they
here's
said,
my
"Can I
thing
have
about that.
some?" I was like, "Yeah, you can have some." And I guess some to them means
some
all.
meant all, yeah.
Well, they're also getting an
They each
extra.
had some.
Miss Ashley's sending them an extra. Did I give you the Muddy Betties yet? I'm going
They
to give
don't
you some
deserve
Betties.
any.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like Biggly Piggly Wiggly needs to do that earlier in December. Because once you get to December 19th, 20th, that's when teachers, have their last end of the year meetings. That's when we're all trying to get ready for Christmas. I would love for them to do it
earlier. We still want the
earlier.
cookies to be fresh if we buy them.
I will tell
before
you
Christmas.
that the West Virginia Corner Kitchen had really nice trays of cookies.
Oh, great.
And, Barb had been cooking her little heart out.
And
They had pumpkin
baking.
rolls. Whole pumpkin rolls you could buy.
Oh, I love
and she
that.
had them just as you go in the door.
And she's baking it all.
She bakes it all.
Okay.
And I think today they were having turkey or ham for dinner.
I just might save myself some baking time and go over there
But
and see what she's
I
got.
went there last night and I got their meatloaf with scalloped potatoes and I forget what the other. And then I also got their potato soup. Oh
Ooh, I
my
love
goodness!
that.
And the
Delicious.
cherry cheesecake.
Well, you know
can
what?
certainly. I mean, if you can't get in there,
Yeah.
Biggly Piggly Wiggly, has a deli open year round, but it's a great place to go for your Christmas parties or New Year's Eve parties.
So can we just thank Charleston, thank our listeners, thank Kanawha County, thank everybody, and say Merry Christmas? And
Let's say Merry Christmas
we will
to
not
all of
see
our
you guys.
listeners.
You will not hear us next week because the studio is going to be shut down, so we can't record. We will be back with you in 2024. That's weird.
Ripe and ready.
Yeah, ready. We're
The
going
city council meeting's January 3rd, which is a Wednesday.
Okay. I hope I got it on my calendar. I'm ready. That's the first day back at school too. All right. Merry Christmas, Charleston. Merry Christmas, Kanawha County. Merry Christmas, West
Christmas.
Virginia. Merry Christmas, Adam.
Oh, Merry Christmas!
Merry
Happy New Year
Christmas,
to
Beth.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Ron.
Merry Christmas to you too.
We'll see you guys in the
And
new
to
year.
all a good night.
Night night.
If you would like to tie your business with this popular podcast, you can contact me, Ron Hughes, to advertise at ron.hughes, ron.hughes, at wvradio.com, or you could call me at 304-342-8131. The Scoop Squad Truth Pod would like to thank our sponsors. Those include Chris Walters at Integrity Insurance, featuring auto, home, life, business, workers' compensation, and pet insurance. Pet insurance, you say? That's health insurance for your dogs or cats that covers special foods, illnesses, surgeries, and medication. They're on 16 Capitol Street in Charleston at 346-9181, or reach them at www.iigwv.com. Also by Jody's Mobile Services, offering steam cleaning, pressure washing, fleet washing, and auto detailing. We come to you. They're at 304-437-3164. And also by Eggplant on Bridge Road. Anything but ordinary. Go to eggplantshop.com. Also by T Graphics on the West Side, 312 Buchanan Street, 345-4816. Go to tgraphics.com for screen printing and embroidery since 1984. Again at 345-4816. Rebroadcast, retransmission, or transcription is not permissible without the expressed approval of Scoop Squad Truth Pod. Copyright 2023. Opinions expressed on Scoop Squad Truth Pod are those of the hosts and the guests and not those of WVRC Media. The Scoop Squad Truth Pod is copyright 2023, Scoop Squad Truth Squad, LLC.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.